Well, here goes. This is sort of embarrassing, but I just found out that my wife of just 3 years, I am 31, and my wife is 29, had a threesome 1 week before we were married. The most horrible thing is, from the looks of it, she was never going to tell me, and I would have gone on living my life thinking she was this amazing person who did everything right. When in reality, she was just as flawed as so many of us are. We don't have any kids or any outstanding debt together. So, there wouldn't be any messy legalities to deal with. I don't know how to begin to rebuild trust with her, or if I even want to try. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but, like I said, I wasn't looking for anything, but I started to notice a few weeks ago. She would always hang out with a friend of hers and her husband, a lot, even canceled a few of our plans to go hang out with him or do something with just the three of them. I confronted her about it. And she said that they were just friends with a long history and that I was being paranoid. I didn't want to believe her, but I had no reason not to. So, I didn't really press. I trusted what she said and didn't bring it up anymore. A few weeks go by and I get a call from my wife's sister asking me what time would I be home after work. I was like, why? She said that she needed to talk to me about something, but couldn't do it over the phone. I told her I would be home in a few hours. And she said she would come over then. When I got home, my wife's sister was at the front door. As soon as I walked up, she told me that her and her husband had been talking and they thought that I should know that right before I married her sister had a threesome with the couple she hangs out with a lot. I said, "What, you're joking?" She says, "No, I'm not joking." She said that my wife told her and swore her to secrecy. I hesitated for a second and said, "Swore you to secrecy? Why are you telling me now?" She said, "Because she thought you should know. And that if it were her, she would want to know." I went into shock. I couldn't believe it. She even described the events of that night in detail to me. She said that her and her husband had been debating for months on whether or not to tell me, but they decided that I deserved to know. They didn't want me to find out some other way and think they were keeping something from me. I thanked her for telling me and we hugged. She left. I go inside and sit on the couch in shock and in disbelief. I gather myself and I call a friend of mine about what I was just told and he recommended right away that I confront her about it. My friend said, "I will be careful about what you say and how you say it. You don't want to make things worse than they already are." I thought about what my friend said and decided that I was going to wait until the next day to talk to her about it. The next day at work, I couldn't focus on anything. All I could think about was what I had been told and what it meant. I came home from work and my wife was in the kitchen, cooking dinner. As soon as she saw me, she knew something was wrong. She asked me what was wrong and I said nothing. She asked me again. And this time I said, "We need to talk." She turned off the stove and we sat down at the kitchen table. I looked her in the eye and said, "I was told that right before we got married, you had a threesome with the couple you hang out with." Her face went pale white. She couldn't say anything. I asked her if it was true. She finally found her voice and said, "Yes, it's true." I asked her why she did it. She said, "I don't know. I was drunk and it just happened." I asked her why she didn't tell me. She said, "Because I knew you would be hurt and disappointed in me. And I didn't want to lose you." I asked her if she loved me. She said, "Yes, of course I do." I asked her if there was anything else I should know. She said, "No, that's it." I told her I needed some time to process what she had told me and left the room. A few days went by and we didn't really talk about what happened. We just tried to act like everything was normal, but things were not normal. I couldn't get the image out of my head of her with another man, let alone another couple. I started to doubt everything she ever told me. I started to question our whole relationship. I mean, she cheated, we were engaged to be married and she cheated, plain and simple. A few days after that, I came home, she was sitting on the couch and I just flat out told her I wanted a divorce. She begged and pleaded with me saying she was sorry and that she would do anything to make it up to me. I said, "No, I'm done. I can't trust you anymore." I told her she betrayed me and kept it a secret and I wouldn't be able to look at her the same. She started crying and I just walked away. When I walked away from her, she pleaded one last time to give her another chance. I just simply said, I can't, and left. I went to a hotel and stayed there for a few days, just to clear my head. I came home and she was gone. She had moved out. I don't know where she went. The next day, I called a few divorce attorneys in the area to see what my options are and start the process. The attorney I settled on said that since we don't have any kids and no assets together, this should be a pretty easy divorce. Fast forward a few days, my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me and says she needs to talk to me about something. She comes over and we sit down and she tells me that her sister is pregnant with my child. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what to say or do. I asked her when she found out. She said a few days ago. I asked her sister, why didn't my soon-to-be ex-wife tell me? She said, because you two were not talking and you would probably use it against her in the divorce. I said, wait, I want to make sure this baby is mine. Then her sister interrupts me and says, it may not be yours. Then I said, let me guess, because of the couple she has been cheating with. She said, yes, it's possible. She then said, what are you going to do about it? I told her, I didn't know. I needed some time to think about it. Even if the baby is mine, I am still going through with the divorce. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. A few weeks go by and my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me back and says that her sister wants to talk to me. She comes over and we sit down at the kitchen table and she says, I'm sorry for what I did. I was drunk and it just happened. I said, yes, you were drunk, but that's not an excuse. I then told her we don't need to talk about that anymore. I have made my decision. She then said, I know you're going through with the divorce, but I want you to know that I'm keeping the baby regardless if it's yours or not. She then said, I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me someday. I told her I forgave her a long time ago. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. After we had that discussion, she leaves. A few weeks go by and my attorney says that he has finally gotten around to filing the divorce petition. I am new to these forums, but I have a lot to think about if this kid is mine in the upcoming divorce. I appreciate the support I got. I have to make sure I make the right decisions. I know I am with the divorce. I can't be weak and take her back because she has a baby on the way that might not be mine. I will come back and give an update on my situation. I don't know when that will be. Hello everyone. I wanted to give an update on my situation since finding out that my wife of 3 years had a threesome 1 week before our wedding. Since then, she has moved out. I found out that she has been living with her sister and is hanging out with her friend and her husband. And supposedly she is pregnant with my child, possibly twins. My soon-to-be ex-wife has tried to get back together with me. It seems like almost every week and I keep telling her there is no chance of that happening. It seems she doesn't get it, or maybe she is just hoping that I would change my mind. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks and my attorney informs me that the divorce hearing is scheduled almost a month away. I go to the divorce hearing and find out that my soon-to-be ex-wife is also asking for spousal support, even though she is the one who cheated and is currently living with her sister rent-free. The judge decides to decline a request for spousal support, saying that she has no basis for spousal support and you have only been married for 3 years. The judge asked both attorneys if there was anything else and both say no. And the judge grants me the divorce. I didn't lose anything. A few weeks after the divorce, I found out that my ex-wife's sister kicked her out of her house and she is now living with the couple that she had a threesome with. I also found out that she is not pregnant and was never pregnant. I was shocked that she would fake a pregnancy to try and get money from me, but I guess she would do anything to get what she wants. And to my surprise, she still calls and sends text messages. I don't respond to either of them. Welcome to another Reddit video. This story is called, Wife Caught Cheating After 18 Years. I have never been to one of these forums, and I don't know if this will even help me, but I just recently found out that my wife of 18 years was cheating on me with one of her wealthy clients. She is an attorney. My wife went through great lengths to try and hide her affair. But, she made one crucial mistake. She forgot to delete the destinations in the car. When using the navigation system, they told me where she went and I took screenshots of all of it. And I had another gadget in her car. Once I found out, I didn't say anything. I wanted to get more concrete proof. I am a trust fund baby. So, I have access to money and I hired a very good private investigator. I put the private investigator on a retainer. I was sort of pay him as he gathered the evidence I needed. I had to be very careful because if my wife found out I was onto her, she would have become even more secretive and I may have never found out the truth. So, as the weeks went by, I never said anything to her. My demeanor didn't change. I acted like everything was normal. But, all the while I was getting more and more evidence of her affair. To top this all off, she is a divorce attorney. So, she knows all the tricks in the book to try and hide assets and to make sure she comes out on top in a divorce. But, little does she know, I have been planning my own little surprise for her. My private investigator was really good at getting surveillance footage of my wife cheating with this client of hers. He's very wealthy and he has a lot of power. But, what my wife didn't know is that I have been secretly recording her conversations with this man for a few weeks. I placed a very tiny voice-activated recorder in her car without her knowledge. Even though I am a trust fund baby, I was a mechanic at one time and I told her one day that I was going to clean her car and get the oil changed. That's when I placed a voice-activated recorder in her car. One of the most heartbreaking things I heard, she gave him oral in the back seat of her car. I thought to myself, I would never initiate kissing her again, never, but I still had to play dumb. Like I didn't know anything. A few more weeks went by and I had more than enough evidence to confront her with, but I wanted to wait for the right time. I was still unsure if I even wanted to confront her. I also secretly hired a moving company to come and move all of my stuff out of our house while she was at work. I didn't want any type of confrontation with her. I wanted to be long gone before she even got home from work. That day, she called and said she would be working late. When she told me that I said, "Okay, I love you. I will see you later." After getting off the phone, I called my private investigator and told him that my wife said she was working late. My private investigator said, "Okay, I will tell her and see what she is really up to." A few hours went by and I get a call from my private investigator. He said, "Well, it seems like your wife is not working late. She is currently at a hotel with her client." I told him to stay there and get as much evidence as possible. I wanted to be 100% sure before I took any kind of action. The private investigator said, "Okay, no problem." A few hours went by. The private investigator sent me a video clip of them walking into the room with her client's hand squeezing my wife's ass. I sent the private investigator a text telling him he doesn't need to stay there any longer. That's all the evidence I needed. After that, I continued packing my things while the moving company continued moving my furniture. It wasn't much. I had made arrangements to move into one of my vacation homes that I rent out every year, which was partially furnished. At about 4 p.m., my wife calls me and says she will be home in an hour or two. I told her, "Okay," and hung up the phone. I told the movers we had about an hour left, and I told them the address of the vacation home. They were done about 40 minutes later. I gave them the key and they headed to the house. I locked my old house, set the alarm and got in my car. My movers and I get to the vacation home. When my phone rings, it's my wife. She says she wants me to meet her at our favorite restaurant. I said, "Why?" She says, "I have something to tell you." I get to the restaurant and my wife is already there. She's sitting in a booth. I sit down and she looks at me and she has this weird look on her face. She finally says, "I'm pregnant." I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. I told her, "Are you sure?" "It's mine." She looks at me funny and says, "Why would you say that?" I look at her, take out my phone, show her the video clip of her and her client walking into the hotel room with her client, squeezing her ass. Then I told her, "I know you are cheating on me. And I know you gave this client of yours oral in the backseat of your car. We can do this one of two ways. We can settle this out of court, or we can go to court and you will probably get demolished with all of the evidence I have." She didn't say a word for about a minute. Then she looks at me and says she will take her chances in court. All I said was, "Okay," got up and left. The following day, I conferred with a divorce attorney, showed him the evidence and told him to start the divorce process. That same day, she must have called my phone 1,000 times. Remember the day I left her at our favorite restaurant? She went home and found that I had moved out and bombarded my phone that day as well. But I never responded to her. A few weeks later, my divorce attorney said that she was served with the divorce papers and all that's left now is the hearing. A few weeks after that, I get a call from her asking me to meet her for coffee. So I did. She asked me how I was doing and I said, "I'm doing just fine. Thank you." Then she asked me if I would consider dropping the divorce. And I said, "No." I told her, "I can't trust you anymore. After 18 years of marriage, you decide to cross the line with the client and you want me to take you back. I'm sorry, but I can't do that." She begged and pleaded with me, even offered to give up her privacy and let me have access to everything. A few weeks later, I get a call from her again, saying she wants to meet for coffee. So, I met her again. This time she wanted to know if I would give her another chance. She kept saying, "Please, please, please." And I said, "Why? What benefit do I get? If I decided to give you another chance," she looked at me with this pitiful look on her face and said, "Because I love you." I just sat there looking at her for what seemed like an eternity. Then I got up and left. A few days later, I received a package in the mail from her. It contained a box of my favorite cigars and a note that said, "I'm sorry." I thought about it for a few days and decided that I just couldn't do it. I had tears rolling down my face. I just couldn't see myself with her. She threw away 18 years for a client that she knew for only a month. I can't think or write anymore at this point. I am too mentally distraught. I promise I will come back with an update on my situation. This story is called Update Wife Caught Cheating After 18 Years. Hello. I am back with a quick update. My divorce isn't final yet. My wife asked me to give her another chance. She begged and pleaded with me after I showed her proof that I knew she was cheating on me. She has since asked me multiple times, have I considered giving her another chance in my head? I said, I couldn't, but I just haven't told her yet. I don't think I can trust her, but I had a funny feeling. She was still cheating. So with my gut instinct, I called my private investigator and told him I wanted him to continue to follow her. A week goes by. He calls me and tells me he has not seen her with that client. She goes to work and goes home. He also tells me that when he follows her home, he stays for about 30 to 40 minutes to see if she leaves the house. According to him, she hasn't fast forward 3 weeks and my private investigator follows my wife home and he waited for 30 minutes. Then out of nowhere, he sees a car drive down to the house. He's never seen this car before. It's the guy she has been cheating with. He sends me a clip of this guy walking up to the door. He knocks on the door. My wife opens the door and kisses him. After that, I sent my wife a text and told her, I will not give her another chance. I will see you in divorce court. As of May 21st,